winning in Munich and saying that's pretty well one of the best races I've ever delivered. But here on the far side is the host nation's representative, Andre Van Aerberg, 30 years of age, on his home stretch of water. Next to him is Ondřej Sinek for the Czech Republic. He's won the World Cup in his time. He was silver medalist last year, bronze medalist the year before in the World Championships. He's getting closer, he's knocking on the door, and you cannot rule him out. Represents the Czech Republic. Here's Alan Campbell. As I said, he won in Munich. It was a terrific display. The 25-year-old, who's a great buddy with the man sitting immediately to his left, the reigning world champion, won the title in 2005, defended in 6 and again in 7, and his name, of course, Mahe Drysdale, now 29 years of age. And next to Mahe Drysdale, Olaf Tufte, the Olympic champion, also a world champion in his time. He won the world title not only in 2001 but also in 2003. And completing the lineup will be the Swede Lasse Karonen, who's actually quite interesting. In 2005 he finished 8th. Then he finished 7th in 2006. He finished 6th in 2007. So there's a steady but gentle progression at the moment from the Swede who is closest to you.
Sweden, attention.
Drysdale leant on his blades first. You don't jerk the start, you don't snap those blades in, you just lean on them and then send that first stroke away before you then snap second, third, fourth, fifth in sharper and sharper sculling. Interesting there to see Van Aerberg using wooden blades, because everybody else is on one form or other of carbon fibre.
Well, Campbell very smartly into his work, and he does like to try and dominate.
He does, and it's actually his best tactic. If he tries to come from behind, he finds it wrong. He likes to get out in front, see people behind him, and then try and hang on as long as possible. And also in the case of Drysdale, Drysdale is a racer who isn't so fast out of the blocks, does take it steady, not steady, but just even pace through the middle of the course, and then does put you under absolutely relentless pressure in the last 500 meters. He's done that year after year, and so if you're behind Drysdale, you think this is the wrong place to be, I'll never get in front of him. You've got to be in front to start with and hope you can stay there. Campbell raced extremely well in the conditions of Munich, which were a little bit unfair. I kept saying it was as fair as it could be, but the crosswind did make it easier to be an echelon from one side, and he was over in lane 1 through his own efforts in the heats and the semi-finals, and the result of that was that he got away from the field, and was Ondřej Sinek was chasing him but unable finally to crack him.
Coming up to the first quarter, and it is Campbell who's got the call from the Olympic champion, and Lasse Karonen, who's closest to you but out of picture. And there's Mahe Drysdale, member of course of the West End Rowing Club, and such a strong figure in this very strong squad of New Zealand men and women. And have a look at how tight that is.
How tight that is, and that's in meters, not seconds, just to be clear. And -1 from Norway. Great Britain, no, Great Britain's back in the lead. That's the GPS system, accurate to the nearest meter, so it didn't look, funnily enough, like Norway was in front. That was a mistake. And Alan Campbell. Now let's have a look at how he's sculling. He sits very upright. He hardly moves the body angle against the hips at all, but there's a very, very tidy leg drive there, and he draws the blades through with his shoulders right through, so that his thumbs on the sculls just touch his shirt where he's at the bottom of his rib cage, and hands away again. So is Drysdale. He's rigged in exactly the same way, and here's him coming back through the field. He's bringing Sinek with him, and they're beginning to push off and leave Van Aerberg, who is, I'm afraid, in a different class, a slightly lower class from this field, on his own. He's in picture because he's a Swiss sculler on his home water, but it's very close still, but he's probably going to find it hard to stick with this field over the full distance. -19 meters at the moment.
And just a quick word, Marcel Hacker.
Marcel Hacker performed poorly first round, dropped out after 300 meters in the semi-finals, and has gone home. and apparently there is talk whether this will be upheld, but has apparently thrown in his hand for this season. And Carsten Brodowski, who finished, I think, 10th overall here this morning, would be going through in the slot earned by Hacker for the Beijing Olympics. But that is not confirmed, and frankly, you and I both know Hacker well enough to know that he could change his mind tomorrow.
So Alan Campbell, all the good work at the moment sees him ahead of Olaf Tufte, Sinek on the premises, so Mahe Drysdale. And now, for me, this is always the crucial quarter now. This third quarter of the race, and you can see there we're 1,150 metres into the race, and it's still a very tight affair. But little by little, you can see Mahe Drysdale in the black, and on the near side, Olaf Tufte, bottom of your picture there, together with Sinek, who's to Alan Campbell's right. They're all just closing. Vonneberg being left behind. Lassie Caronan now finding this too tough to live with, and it's Great Britain leading from perhaps on the far side. There's Sinek in second place, Drysdale third, and the rating for Campbell 35.5 strokes at the moment.
Campbell 35.5. That's something he can sustain. He's built it in. He trains to put bursts in almost any part of the course. He trains every sort of eventuality. Bill Barry, his coach, very, very personal, very particular, and they work through each quarter of the race with the most meticulous detail. And so here is Campbell. He looks like he's suffering, but he always looks like he's suffering. That doesn't really mean he's hurting yet. And having a little look around him, and he's in control at the moment. But the question is, does Drysdale have the recovery from his journey? And it looks like he does, because Drysdale just come through there and, in my view, crossed that line ahead of the Czech Republic and was first at 1,500 metres.
And the man who's really cracked at the moment is Olaf Tufte. In that third quarter, he couldn't maintain. You can see too from the bottom of the picture there, he's dropped off into 5th place. And in fact, Lassie Caronan now, to his credit, has actually got back into this. The angle is very deceptive. He's still a long way back, but have a look at Sinek biding his time as Drysdale and Sinek coming through to take Campbell whilst we were away. All that happened,
but it was happening already. And Campbell, I said he wasn't suffering because he always looks like that, but clearly he was suffering and is unable to keep up now. Caronan, who he started out as a church boat, just sculling church boats between one island and another, and has built himself into an international competitor. He could come up and try and close out on Campbell, but I don't think so. At the moment, it's Gignac and Drysdale. That's the race.
This could be a great finish here, because these two men are about to test each other. We're into the last 250 metres, and it is Andrei Sinek of the Czech Republic on the far side, closest to you, the world champion, Drysdale, and he's finding this tough. He really is finding this tough. Sinek's asking him some questions, looking very smooth on the far side. There's little between them, but Andrei Sinek has just moved it up, and Sinek looking to come through to win here in Lucerne. Drysdale at 37 strokes a minute, and it is looking out from the commentary box here in Lucerne. Andrei Sinek of the Czech Republic is going to take Mahe Drysdale by just about half a length, I think. A little bit more than that, 3/4 of a length. Drysdale in third place, Drysdale second, Caronan in third, and then coming across in 4th place, Alan Campbell, ahead of Olaf Tufte, who really blew up there, and Vonneberg on his home water in 6th place. Well, that was a very professional piece of sculling from Andrei Sinek.
And you saw, although Drysdale couldn't get his rate above about 38 and Sinek was at 42, but Drysdale couldn't do anything about it. He had every muscle strained to try and come back. That was not a gift to Gignac at all. It was hard won by him, but I thought he looked magnificent. I thought he was sculling beautifully. He's a very army sculler. You can see his arms bend. He takes it, but he's not a huge guy. He's very rangy and slender, and he really deserved that, and he timed it perfectly.
25 years of age, Andrei Sinek. As I said, he's had world silvers, world bronzes. Back in the last Olympics, he was in the Czech double scull that finished in 5th place. You can see there's a real smile of satisfaction there, and he knows that he's got the better. But this doesn't mean he'll be Olympic champion.
It doesn't mean he'll be Olympic champion. Interestingly, contrast his race with Mirka Napkova this morning. Mirka Napkova, his Czech single scull, women's single scull soulmate, as it were, she got out in front of the reigning champion